There we go. All right, so what I'm going to talk about here is some of how we can apply some of the stuff we talked about yesterday and some of the things that I'll talk about tomorrow. So there was a lot of technical talk last night, if you guys saw my talk, on blocking skills. There was no drill work, so it was a lot of like, hey, what does your catcher need to do? What are the absolutes? And not even absolutes, but things that we look for our catchers to do at a really, really high level. The guys that are competing for all-star games and gold gloves and things of that nature at the major league level. What are those types of skills and consistencies that they have? And then what we're going to talk about today is some of how we can apply that, how we can train some of those particular things, and I'll give you a little bit of a lead-in to what we'll talk about tomorrow in terms of the receiving, because I'm going to kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit in terms of why we're doing some of the receiving drills that are in this thing. There are not any throwing drills in here. Today's going to be kind of dedicated to just receiving and blocking, which I believe are the two most important skills for professional catchers, because most of the guys that catch, whether they're in rookie ball or at the major league level, they're all going to have the ability to throw well enough to get there, and that typically isn't a huge indicator of catcher success at our level. So a lot of our work is dedicated towards making sure that our guys can be the best receivers and the best blockers that they can be, and going from there. So I'm going to jump into this with a quote, okay? The best coaches are the best thieves, okay? So I've heard this at conventions and a variety of other different things. And the reason I think this is pertinent before we start this whole thing off is because I don't want any of you guys to walk away from this thing going, man, this guy from the Phillies, he has a ton of great drills that he made up on his own, okay? I didn't make up hardly any of these. Most of these are drills that I've taken from other coaches that I've had in my past, that I've seen at conventions, that I've just come across in terms of my experience in high school baseball, college baseball, and at the professional level, and figured out how we can apply them and how we can adapt them for our guys. So I think that quote's really valuable, just to think of, hey, every time I'm going to these things, what can I steal from somebody else and use for my guys? And that's definitely something that I'm doing with our guys, with the Phillies. Okay, one more quote. Okay, and I think this is particularly pertinent to catching and how we train our guys in catching. Okay, the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in war. Okay, so it's a military adage that I've heard is used in the U.S. Navy SEALs and the Marines and a variety of different other groups. I think it's important for catchers because I think so often our concern, especially at the professional level when our guys play every day, is how can we limit the impact on our guys' bodies? How can we not get them hurt? Okay, not how can we make them the best catcher that they can be, but how can we keep them from getting injured? And I think sometimes we're doing that at a detriment to our players' development as they grow. So I think it's important that we make sure that we figure out ways that we can challenge our guys that have a low impact, but also that our guys are going to have to work a little bit. And I think anyone that spent the entire year with me would see that our guys at the major league level are doing a ton of work day in and day out to both prepare for games, and on the days that they don't catch, improve some of their weaknesses and also add to their strengths as well. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to jump into before we start the drills is the concept of perceived velocity. This is one of the ways that we can create game-like training in our practice setting. Okay, so what that looks like, okay, there's a lot of numbers in this slide, so I'll kind of walk you through it, but it's an opportunity to simulate game speed by shrinking the distance that the ball travels, okay, and creating game-like reaction times, and forcing the body to organize quickly and efficiently, okay? If you guys would like, I'd recommend taking a picture of this if you're not doing it already. The table on the right, okay, that is a table of different velocities that are needed to create these game velocities, okay? 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100, okay? So the majority of the work that our guys will do will be between somewhere in the 90 to 105 range in terms of reaction time, okay? I will never shoot a ball out of a machine at them probably firmer than 90 miles an hour. Okay, almost everything will be pared down, okay, and we'll go from there. So if you notice, the first column is not 60 feet 6 inches, okay, it's 54 feet and 6 inches. That is because I don't want to set up the machine on top of the rubber. All right, the pitcher doesn't release the ball on top of the rubber. The average major leaguer releases the ball with about 6 feet of extension in front of the rubber, which allows them to kind of set the machine up in a spot that is going to help them do that. I would really recommend, if you're using any sort of breaking ball, whether it's a right-hander or a left-hander, that you're offsetting by 1.5 feet or 2 feet to either side, so you can create more game-like movements on pitches. For me personally, with our guys, these are the different distances that I use. So I have 3 plates in our cage, one that's full distance, one that's 6 feet in front of full distance, and one that's 12 feet in front. If you guys would like to adapt this for maybe different velocities that are more appropriate for the age level of players that you work with, there is an equation down there that you guys can use to figure out whatever you'd like. And I think that's a great way to adapt this and, either make the distance shorter, make the velocity slower, whatever it may need to be. Okay. Moving on, I'm going to talk about something that is really important to us that we're kind of just diving into right now, and it's a program that we're calling Catch to Stretch. I think anyone that has heard a strength and conditioning person speak, you'll often hear the idea that the best exercise to improve an exercise is the exercise itself. Okay, so what we're trying to create, and this is something that our manager, Gabe Kapler, is really into. If you guys have seen him with his shirt off, which a lot of people have, there's a lot of that online. He's a very physical person, so exercise and strength training is something that's near and dear to his heart, and he really believes in this as a concept, and it's something that we're going to continue to incorporate with our guys at the major league level more and more as they work out in their drill sessions. But also, it may end up being something that would be a really good pregame routine to kind of piggyback on some of the stuff that Tony talked about earlier today, as you guys are thinking about how can I prepare my players to be as ready as possible for the game and also be mobile and agile as they go into the gameplay. Okay, so I'll walk you guys through the videos and the different drills that we're going to do here. Okay, so the first one is just a 2-knee receive. So we're going to keep this thing pretty easy. Okay, the machine is working at a little bit slower than game velocity probably in terms of reaction time because I'm the one catching. Okay, and I'm not as good as the guys that I coach, okay, fortunately for them, because if I was as good as them, we wouldn't be very good. So what you can see here is the glove starting on the ground. This is something that we call the chicken drill, okay, so if you guys have ever played that game in the playground where you try to push the other person off, or you've seen it in movies where people drive cars at each other and whoever veers off first loses. What we're trying to do is keep our glove on the ground as long as possible so that we can work from up under the baseball as the ball is working into our glove. Okay, this pitch is a little bit high. You'll see one that's a little bit lower. That's going to challenge the glove a little bit more as we work throughout the day. Okay, the next one is just a preset block. Okay, so all I want to do is make sure that as the ball comes in, my hands turn over. My block should be an extension of the catch, so I'm reaching out and then pulling back. Okay, and my hands are working in, and I'm trying to soften the baseball behind home plate. That's kind of the verb or the mental cue for the catcher is just don't let the ball roll past home plate. And a lot of times that external cue will do a lot more than trying to actually coach the technique of what we're trying to do there. Okay, next one in. Okay, so this is a left knee receive, and it's you can see the glove starting down. This is a breaking ball, okay? But we're trying to get off of one knee now to create a little bit more of hip mobility because if you guys have kneeled on one knee in this setup, it is going to challenge your hips a little bit. And I think it's also something that you guys are going to start seeing more and more at the major league level. You're seeing it right now quite a bit with guys catching off of one knee. I think in the next handful of years, you're going to start seeing guys catch off one knee with runners on base a lot more than they have in the past. So, something that we need to work with our guys on. It really tends to help guys get underneath the baseball, and as they do it, when they warm up, they find their hips loosen up pretty well, okay? So as they flip to the other side, okay, you're going to see right knee receive. Okay, the big benefit of the right knee receive is that it forces the catcher to use his forearm in a way that he's going to do in a game to catch the low pitch. Okay, most catchers have a really hard time creating this angle with their arm and working the ball back up into the zone. Okay, we find that the guys that are elite at receiving the baseball at the major league level are really good at being able to catch the ball with their glove below their elbow and then working the ball back up to the height of their elbow as they receive the pitch, whether they go from extension into flexion, okay, or they go from flexion into extension as they catch through the baseball. The technique isn't important, but that is a commonality amongst all of those high-quality major league receivers, okay? So the next one is just going to be off of that left knee stance. We're just going to block into it. So you'll see right here on the left knee, I do a really good job of rolling out over my toe, as I talked about yesterday, and that's going to create a ton of hip mobility success for me personally. By the time I was done shooting this video for this presentation, my hips were in a lather, and that's exactly how I want to feel when I get into the game, okay? Now, on the flip side, for the right knee block in, you can see my foot kind of loops around. Okay, that's not really what I'd be looking for our guys, but like I said, I'm not a professional, so you got to bear with me a little bit. We'd like to see that same thing there, right knee on the ground, left knee or left foot down, left knee going straight out over the toe. okay, to make sure that we're creating as much hip mobility as possible, and we're working on some ability to center the baseball with our body or work the ball into the glove as we eliminate hopped, or as we create perfect hops, as we talked about yesterday. Okay? Next one. Okay, this is one that is kind of like a Tyler Flowers-esque setup. This is something that worked really well for one of our catchers, Andrew Knapp, who really liked this. For whatever reason, he felt like he got under the ball better when he walked forward into the catch rather than just setting up on one knee. So I think this is a little bit more of a dynamic movement, and it also tends to cut down the distance that the catcher or the ball travels. So the catcher catches the ball a little bit higher, especially on breaking balls, as it's coming towards them. So when you watch Tyler Flowers receive, if you ever get a chance to see him from the side, he's as close to home plate as any catcher in Major League Baseball, and I firmly believe that's one of the reasons that he receives the ball at such a high level, even though he does a lot of things that traditionally we wouldn't coach, okay? You'll see the same thing here, right knee walk-in, okay? Once again, whenever they're on their right knee, it really allows them to create that downward angle with their forearm, okay? You can see even for me, it works pretty well to work up under the baseball and try to create a consistent hand load where they can do that without clearing too much ground to their left and creating a weakness on the right side of their body, okay? Now, just the primary stance, okay? So this is basic stuff. Everyone does this, okay? But our guys felt like this was an important part of this sequence to be put in there because they felt better when they could just get a little bit of catching in the primary stance, okay? Moving on from there, okay? We'll get into the secondary, and we're going to go full block, okay? So now we're starting to put all the pieces together, get moving a little bit more. It's not a tough pitch to block. This ball is right on top of home plate. It's just a straight fastball that's not particularly fast, but it allows you to just work on softening the baseball, centering it up with your body, keeping your chest in front of it, working the palm of your glove as that target, okay? And then the last thing before we get into something that's a little bit more dynamic is something that's in the block throw stance, okay? One of the things that I found with a lot of our Major League guys is that they don't practice this setup, right? When they do all their receiving practice, they're on a knee or they're in a regular receiving stance, okay? So we found that we had some weakness issues when they had to catch out of their secondary stance because they just were never in it, okay? So it's really important that whether you guys are doing it in your pregame routine or you're doing it in your practice setting, that you're incorporating the secondary stance as we go through to make sure guys are comfortable making the actions that they need to be good receivers out of the secondary stance, okay? And then the last thing is a random mix, okay? So I don't have a video of this off a machine, okay? And there should be sound for this one, I think. Okay, so you'll hear a verbal call for runner. Okay, so you're going to make the catcher make one of four decisions. Okay, he's either got to receive, block, he's got to just transfer to throw, or he's got to pick and transfer to throw. Okay, so this is something that we utilize a lot. You'll see a number of different varieties of this, and I think it's really valuable to have this as a part of the pregame routine. So catchers are having to make some decisions very similar to what Tony talked about, and just trying to get guys ready to play because there's a lot of decisions that have to be made in the game, and this is an integral part of that. Okay, so we're going to dive into some more fundamental drills, okay, now that we've kind of progressed through that catch-to-stretch routine. I hope that you guys see kind of how some of the ways that we can apply that catch-to-stretch in terms of getting our hips loose, getting our ankles loose, working our hands, working on using our hands and our body for blocking, which are all things that were things that came up in Q&A yesterday. So I hope that you guys found some value in that. I'd be more than happy to answer more questions about that as we go. It is still a little new to us, so I don't have all the answers about it, but I can tell you that having been through that, I do feel like it's a really strong way to warm up. We'll probably add some other things in there, but it's really probably like a 2 or 3 reps per activity that we just saw. Okay, it's not like you're not doing 10 of each one. Okay, so it should be able to be completed in somewhere in the 6 to 10 minute window. Okay, so as we get into the fundamental drills, I want to talk about how we're going to block our practices. Okay, so we'll typically have a component that is fundamental and predictable. Okay, we're going to have a component that is dynamic, that's going to force the catcher to move around. Okay, it's going to put him in some positions where his hands are going to have to work differently or his hips are going to have to work differently, but we're going to create some dynamic movements and get him bouncing a little bit. Okay, and then finally we're going to end with something that's complex. Okay, it's unpredictable, and it's more game-like. And I think that's a really strong way to create solid actions as we go through with our players to be able to allow them to kind of ingrain a technique challenge the technique, and then really challenge their decision-making at the very end. And I've found that that's a great way to create success, and you're going to find that in a lot of manuals about motor learning and different things like that. Is that kind of blocked to random practice setting is going to be one that's very effective. So the first one, I'm going to talk about just a couple of things that don't involve a ball. They're pretty basic. They're a little bit more hip mobility, kind of a warm-up type thing that you might do. Okay, so these are just lateral walks. Okay, what you can see is every time that he gets into his stance, he shows a target. Okay, so we're trying to create a little bit of mobility in the hips. You can see when he goes to his left, he's not quite as comfortable with it. But it's a great way to get loose, kind of get working. Some people call them crab walks or something along those lines, but it's just a warm-up drill. Okay, the next one, okay, lateral blocks. Okay, so what you're seeing here is you're seeing him, make the block an extension of the catch. Okay, so he's reaching for the catch first before going into the block. Okay, and he's also creating some rhythm in here. So one of the questions that we addressed in the Q&A last night was, how do I create rhythm with my block? Okay, so often the block seems like a collision with the ground, okay, and then a collision with the ball, and then a yard sale as they try to pick the ball up, right? So what we can do here is if we make this a little bit more regimented, okay, and a little bit more tempoed, okay, the catchers tend to have more control as they go into the block and then come out of it as well. So what we're looking for here is this would be like kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 tempo. So you can see, once again, as he goes to his right, he's a little bit better. As he goes to his left, it's a little bit more of a crash and then a recovery, okay? Next thing, okay, forward blocks. Okay, this one is a little bit of an exaggeration drill. Okay, it's not exactly how this is practiced in the game, okay, but I think being able to separate your knees allows your hips to loosen up as you get ready, and I think it also creates a lot of fluidity for the recovery process that a lot of catchers lack, whether they're 10 years old or they're in professional baseball. So this ability to create a little bit of rhythm with your knees is going to allow you to create a little bit more rhythm as you recover, and I think it's really valuable in that regard. But what you'll see more than anything else is guys like the fact that they can get one knee on the ground and then allow the other knee to fall into it and create a little bit of hip mobility as they go there. Okay, finally, the last no ball thing, which actually does have balls involved, is just a shadow block. Okay, so we're going to work all 5 different zones and patterns. Okay, so it's a ball right at you, a ball inside of your left foot, a ball inside of your right foot, and then balls outside of your left and right foot. Okay, so as you can see, the recovery is a large component of this. I want to make sure that they're coming up, and for the sake of this video, they're prepared to throw to second base as they recover the baseball. You can change the objective so it can be prepared to throw to first, prepare for third, whatever it may be, but make sure that they're not just picking it up. Okay, so often we see the recovery end up being just pick up, not ready to throw anywhere, not a functional drill setting because it's not as game-like as it needs to be. Also, try to keep them back from the baseballs a little bit so they have to walk out of the block. The closer the balls are to their body, the more they're going to tend to just reach for the ball and not truly create that rhythm and walk out of the block. Okay? So we'll roll into some blocking drills that I just flip underhand. Okay, you're going to see 2 different feeds here on this glove funnel. Okay, one that's an overhand feed, kind of a dart throw, and one that's an underhand feed. So the underhand one is going to be to train those glove skills that we talked about yesterday. That dart feed is going to be to train a little bit more body skills, and it's that concept of shooting for the palm and settling for the belly button. Okay, so all the catchers are doing, okay, is just working on funneling their hands back and finding the hop type that's going to allow them to either hit the palm or settle for the belly button every time. And as you can see, my feeds aren't perfect here. Doesn't matter if they are. If the catchers get outside their window, sometimes they can make some lateral hip adjustments. They really shouldn't be making adjustments with their glove, even though my guys do sometimes in this thing because they're not perfect. But we're trying to be. So as we move on, now we're just showing a target. Exact same drill, exact same couple of feeds, same skill set, but now we're going from glove target, okay, extension of the catch, and then pull back into block, okay? Transitioning from there, now we're up in a stance, and we're just working on the hands, okay? So ideally, I would like them to catch it, okay? I think this helps with the concept of the block being an extension of the catch, okay, if they're thinking catch here, okay? But what they're trying to do is just work this ball back towards the middle of their body and allow, when we start moving their body around the baseball, to just follow their hands, okay? So on that note, we'll go right into a knee drop, okay? So the glove's preset down, okay? You're going to see me throw some balls that are right at guys. You're going to see me move them slightly to the left and to the right. But when their glove's already down, all I want to focus on is the hands funneling back and then the knees dropping into the right location right here. Okay, so I think what we have, all of these ones here, there are some same thing that are underhand feeds, some that are dart feeds. So once again, we're still working on glove skills, and we're also working on chest skills with being able to soften the body, get our hips back, and a lot of things that we talked about yesterday in the blocking presentation. Okay, so this one, the no glove drill. I actually started using this drill because I was coaching a kid that was committed to Duke when I was coaching in college that had never caught before. Okay, he was a third baseman by trade, and he found that, or I guess we found as a group, that the toughest thing for him was to figure out how to keep his glove down. Okay, he wanted to play the ball so badly with his hands, okay, that we started using this drill as a way to say, like, all right, just use your body. Okay, we'll take the hands out of it, and we're going to try and eliminate that want to catch the ball. We're going to catch the ball more with our body. Now, what that created is a drill that I think is actually really functional for guys that are trying to work chest skills and work on using mobility in their hips. So the simple cue for this, as crazy as it sounds, is don't get hit in the cup. Right? So what we're trying to do is prevent guys from getting hit in the cup. So you can see if all I'm trying to do as the feeder is hit them in the cup. Okay, I'm trying to bounce it short enough to their body so they really have to sink into their hips, create pressure into the ground, and get their chest protector down to the baseball every time and try to catch it with their belly button. So I think it's really effective in that regard. Something, once again, came out of it that I never thought was going to, in the regard that it allowed us to work on those chest skills a lot, and it's kind of fun. They enjoy it. So I would recommend doing it with just a short feed, not a machine. But next thing, rolling blocks. Tony already talked about this a little bit, but it's a great way to work on tempo of blocking. What I want to see with my guys is I want to see their knees descending to the ground as the ball is hitting their glove. Okay, the kind of natural inclination for guys is when they do this drill, they're going to want to get down to the ground really early. Okay, they're not going to want to see the ball out of my hand. Okay, and that's something that we also see being a huge issue with players in the game, is they want to make decisions about whether or not they need to block or receive before they've actually seen the ball, and then they get caught in between. Okay, so this is a great way to kind of work on ingraining that skill and also build some of those patterns into your drill work that also requires very little impact and allows them to work on how they're going to move their body to the baseball on each play. Okay, so now getting into some machine drills. This is a big part of the equation for me personally. I think for whatever reason, there is a level of legitimacy with my players that when they feel like I'm shooting the ball out of a machine, they feel like it's harder, it's more challenging, it's a little bit more professional, right? There's no reason that you can't do any of these drills off a live arm. Okay, so if you don't have access to a machine, you can create the same type of actions off of a guy throwing. If you can spin a breaking ball and you can throw BP, you can shorten the distance to the right game reaction time for your arm velocity, and you can get the exact same things out of these these drills off of just a regular arm. But for me, they're machine drills. So the first one, this is off of a hack attack on 6-foot legs, so that's about as tall as me. So the machine actually releases a little bit higher than that. So it's also on top of our mound in our cage. So you can see the angle of the ball is coming down pretty drastically. A way that you could do that if you didn't have a machine is just get on top of a platform like this or up a set of stairs and throw downhill to your catchers to allow them to feel the ball coming down to them. It really forces them to work their glove underneath the baseball and then up through it as they go. Okay. Once again, this is the chicken drill that we talked about a little bit more. You can see that first I'm going to start them on the side. I think this is a great way for them to get a feel for what the ball is doing and anticipate where the ball is going to bounce. Okay, you can see that right now the ball is right at ground level when he's catching it. Okay, so what you'll see is if the glove comes up, okay, the ball is going to get below the glove really easily. Okay, we want to make sure that the glove stays below the baseball the entire way through. And then the last thing, which we'll roll back through to here in just 1 second, is going to be a random one where he toggles the back of the machine, okay? And he's going to dictate whether or not it's going to be right at ground level or it's going to be up a little bit higher and force the catcher to really stay below the baseball and make it a little bit more game-like so they're working underneath the ball. You'll see some of those that kind of get on the catcher a little bit, but that's a lot better at the end of the day than the ball that gets below the catcher's glove. Okay, so this is the Cousins drill. I saw this at the ABCA last year with Tim Cousins. He's Tony alluded to, he's now the catching coach for the Orioles, I guess for lack of a better word, because I don't know the title. I think this is a great drill to work on staying below the ball as you move laterally. Catchers have a really hard time inherently working their glove down and moving away from the center of their body. What you'll see with a lot of guys is their glove go up and over, okay, as they attack the baseball. But this really focuses on from the hand relax, working over to the side, and then working to the baseball. You can do this with a left-handed breaking ball to go the other direction, but it's a great drill for that. I'm not sure if this is exactly how Tim Cousins actually kind of perceived this drill to go, but this is kind of how we've taken it, and we're giving him credit for it. So if we're botching it, hopefully he's not going to see this. So moving on, the donut glove. So this is a glove that's made by All-Star. It's an old school glove without a hinge. I think this is a great way to work on receiving timing, whether you want to work your catchers from flexion into extension, okay, more of a stick, or if you want to work from extension into flexion, more of an absorption pattern. Your timing has to be perfect to close this glove and catch the ball in the pocket. So it's a great training tool to use for guys that have a hard time creating the correct timing. You'll see the guys that want to work towards it will just push it back to the pitcher, and the guys that want to work this way but have the wrong timing, they'll just kind of bat it to the ground. So it's a great way to practice that. It's not as easy as it looks. This was like take number 5 for me, trying to get this thing locked in. It's not something that we've used a ton of, but it ends up being really effective for a training tool that I'm going to incorporate a lot with our guys this year. Okay, the next one, this is just multi-glove, so it's somewhat of a proprioception training drill. You can see right now I'm just trading the gloves out as I go through, but what we'll do is we'll use this glove, which is a 31-inch training glove. We'll use the catcher's regular glove. We'll use the donut, and we'll actually give them to the catchers that are in line waiting to go, and they just throw the glove to the guy that's up, and it allows them to create a different pocket on every catch. Okay, and it really trains the pocket awareness of the catcher to be able to find that pocket, find the index finger. Is something else that we talk about with our guys to be able to make sure they can pocket the baseball on time every time as they go through. So moving on, next one, we'll get into blocking a little bit. So we talked about this before. The softening drill is the only cue here is keep the ball on the red mat. Okay, it's that simple, and I find that with that external cue, the catchers typically have a much easier time creating that softening with their body. They figure out how to work their knees forward and their hips and their hands back and their chest forward, like we talked about with Luke Croy last night. It's a really effective way by using that external cue to just allow your guys to soften the baseball a little bit more. Rather than trying to tell them exactly what they should be doing, let them problem solve for that on their own. And what you'll see in all these drill settings in this cage here, there's a mat down there, and most of the time the cue is keep it on the mat, whether we're doing just a straight-on block like this or if we're doing some other things. Okay, so we'll move laterally here. So these are balls that are inside his body. Okay, so what we want to see here is either a quick left knee to right knee, okay? Or for Cal personally, he works a little bit better to his right when he goes right knee first and then left knee because he has really good hip mobility, so he can stay low and not kind of topple over his right side, as I'm sure you guys have seen before. What you'll see is you'll see a left-handed breaking ball that works to his left. You'll see a right-handed breaking ball that works to his right. There's also a recovery component involved. I want to make sure with a lot of these blocking drills, once again, that we're doing a drill and we're also requiring them to recover the baseball after getting a few reps and getting a feel for how it goes. Okay, this one is one for lateral blocks outside, so a one-knee block. Okay, I'm going to blaze through this one a little bit because I'm going to go over on time because I got a ton of video to show you guys, but it's a great way to work this pattern, especially for guys who've never done this before. This was something that for Cal personally, he'd never done before this fall, and this was in, I believe, November when we did it, so he'd been doing it for about two months or so, about 2 or 3 days a week at that point, so it wasn't something that was incredibly ingrained in him. It was something that, he was still working through and trying to figure out, but it tends to be, like I said, something that'll really allows catchers to soften the baseball really well because it forces their hips back as they attack the baseball. Okay, last thing here, just straight block and recover. Okay, I think this is an integral part of what we do with our catchers, like I've said many times, so we can blaze through that one as well. Okay, so now we're going to work into some of the dynamic drills. Okay, so these are ones, like I said, where they're going to be moving around a little bit more. We may have multiple balls being fired at a time. Okay, we're just going to try and create some, put the catchers in some positions that maybe they're not comfortable in to allow them to do some problem solving on their own and some external cueing that will allow them to improve their skill set. Okay, so the first one is lateral hops. So this is just going to work an inside pitch and an outside pitch. Okay, so we'll normally do like sets of 4 here. Okay, I think this might be a set of 6, or maybe it's a set of infinity on this video. But what it does is you can see the hand load that I have here is not nearly as consistent as it was in some of the other drills because we start to speed things up and the hand load kind of reverts back to what guys tend to have trouble with. Okay, so it's a great way to work guys on both sides of the zone and also try to speed things up a little bit more than they're comfortable with. Okay. Next one, the Tennessee drill. Okay, so I apologize to the SEC coaches in here, but I saw this on the University of Tennessee's baseball Twitter a few years ago. They were doing this drill. It's a 5-angle drill. It's very similar to the lateral hops, but what you get is you end up getting a ball right down the middle, a ball off your right knee, a ball off your left knee, a ball extended off your right knee, and a ball extended off your left knee. So we can work this both directions. It forces some creative problem solving in terms of how your hands are going to get to the baseball. Really stress the hand loads stay the same as what you're working on. So whatever that may be, you can see that becomes like really flippy for me, okay, when I'm really just trying to work my glove down and then catch through the baseball when I'm doing a lot of the other drills that we're going to see. So it's a great way to challenge some different angles and put your catchers in a situation where they have to catch balls in different locations. Okay. Doubles. Okay, this can also be triples. This can be quads. You can do it however you'd like, but it's multiple balls in succession, and it forces the catcher to be pretty simple with their action. Okay, so for that guy that just moves a ton, okay, the guy that really likes to get extended, the guy that really likes to pull it in, what we're trying to do is create a little bit of subtlety here. Okay, obviously in Major League Baseball right now, we're seeing more glove movement from catchers than we ever have before because we're finding that umpires can't see it as much as we think they can. Okay, or maybe we thought that they could, but we do want to have some subtlety. The guys that are simple with it tend to be a little bit better ranked as they go, and even the guys that move it a little bit more, they're very precise with their movements. They do a good job with it. What you'll typically see is one ball that's higher and then one ball that's lower, so you get multiple heights of ball as well. Okay, walk-ups. So you can see this is exciting stuff. There's a crowd building up behind me there, but no, they had tours of the stadium. So this is a great way to challenge the guys in terms of different speeds, different heights. So we want to walk up until they drop it. Okay, that's kind of the cue for needing to be done with that. And then we'll also work backwards as well. So we'll start from the spot where they dropped it, try to really challenge their hands to catch on top of the baseball at the top of the zone on a ball that's a little firmer, and then work under as they go back. And then finally, we'll do some random stuff, and we'll do this a lot of times with lines in the dirt or on the cage, and the guys get to call out what one they have to go to, which they tend to find entertaining, but it also provides a different velocity of ball, different height and location of a pitch, and it creates some randomness in your training that tends to really help the catchers. Okay, so moving on, pop blocks. Okay, this is one that just creates a little bit of active movement, and it creates a little bit of mobility in the hips here by making the catcher jump out of a blocking position and then get back down into one. Okay, I think it's really helpful for guys that tend to be a little bit too upright when they block. Because they have to sink down to pop up, they start to feel that position of being appropriately sunk into their hips and be able to soften the ball a little bit better from that drill. Okay? Double blocks. Okay, so much like the double receiving, okay, this is going to get them into a blocking position on the first ball, and they're going to stay in it, and they're going to have to make some adjustments here. So we had that whole slide and the video last night on different adjustments that catchers can make for balls in the dirt, whether it's shoulder throws or glove moves or changes in posture. You can see right here that second ball is just a softening drill. So you say, hey, this ball's coming at you, keep it on the mat here. Okay, use that as your constraint. Keep it right there. As you can see, he didn't want it to roll off and look bad in the video, so he grabbed it. But we're really trying to make sure that second ball, they're going to soften as much as possible. You see his hips work back, and it's really effective there. Okay, turn blocks. This is a great one for guys that have a hard time centering the baseball in their body. Okay, so by turning them to the side, we're creating the ability to actively turn towards the baseball and get square to the pitch. Okay, that's something that tends to be pretty tough for a lot of guys, and this is a great way to start to problem solve for some of that for those guys that can't quite do it. Okay? Now, last thing, complex drills and more game-like drills. I think this is, really important, and I think Tony did a really good job of adding in some really good ones in here in terms of stuff off the wall. I'll talk about kind of how we utilize that and how I've used it in the past as well as we go through this. But what we're trying to create here is a game-like reaction and start to see what's going to happen in the game. Okay, so just to kind of blaze through some of the things that we'll do. We like to use sequences, so we'll set up a random machine or a double machine or just have a guy throw, and we'll work on pitches that are inside and outside and work on keeping the chest a little bit behind the baseball and working on those different hand patterns, and we'll go random. Okay, same thing for up and down, down and up, okay? We'll go combo drills off of the black box machine. That's one that we use. It's a programmable machine that's really effective for balls in the air, balls in the dirt. Okay, once again, you can still throw it. Okay, that's always effective. Okay, and the last thing in terms of combo drills is if you have a hack attack of any kind, you can use like a rag ball or an Incrediball in conjunction with a baseball, and the baseball will fly in the air while the rag ball or Incrediball will go into the dirt. So it's a great way to practice some reaction training with also a little bit lower impact because obviously the Incrediball is a little bit softer, and it's really effective for guys to be able to have the ball hit their body, miss it, hit their forearms, and not have too much impact there. Additionally, we'll use umpires and hitters, whether there are catchers, pitchers, other hitters on our team. We'll have guys standing in all the time and telling our catchers how high pitches are, what they see as a hitter, okay, and then also have an umpire behind. That's one of our players that will do that. And then finally, bullpens. We'll do a lot of tracking in the bullpen. I'll show you guys a bullpen report card that we use, and you guys are more than welcome to steal from me. And then we just put a lot of eyes on them. Okay, and what we see with a lot of teams is that there are coaches that watch every single pitch that the pitcher throws, but the catcher is never watched. Okay, and those are really valuable reps that we're not utilizing. So whether it's having a guy like myself that's, dedicated to working with your catchers every day, or it's your pitching coach that sees all the bullpens anyways, so why don't we train him on some catching skills and show him what he can be looking for as he watches bullpens. And then finally, utilize runners, whether it's runners in bullpens that the pitchers have to hold and check, or it's runners in your blocking drills that the catchers have to react to when they pick up the ball. Try to make them make some decisions as they go through their drill sequences to make sure that they're not only blocking it, but they're also recovering and becoming playmakers as they go. So here's the first one right here. Okay, this is just block or with a verbal runner call, a pick and a transfer. Okay, so you can see he's kind of working a little bit far to the left, but I'm not really too worried about what he's doing in terms of his technique. What I really want to do is challenge his reaction and make sure that he's working the right way in terms of making the right move each time the ball's shot out of the machine, okay, with just that easy runner call. Next one, okay, block or catch. Okay, so this is that random machine, so it has two pitches programmed in, one that's a slider in the air, one that's a slider in the dirt. Okay, just working on that. Making it a little simpler, though, not incorporating the runner call. We want to make sure that they have the ability to have some success in there, so sometimes breaking it down a little bit helps a lot. Okay, the next one, just random mix off the machine. Okay, so you'll hear the runner call in here as well. Okay, you'll see balls blocked. But it really forces them. This is as close to game-like as you're going to get right here. It's a great way for coaches to be able to work their guys and show a lot of the drills that they're going to do. You'll see a pick right there, okay? This one, we call this the miracle drill. You guys have seen Miracle, I assume, because you're in Canada and you guys care a lot more about hockey than we do the United States, and I appreciate that. These are a lot of the drills that Tony talked about today. Our players at Yale, when I was coaching there, said, oh, this is like Miracle, the movie, when the goalie is doing some drills with the goalie coach. So they call it the miracle drill. But what it creates is the blue ball is either block or catch. The red ball is either transfer or pick and transfer. Okay, I'm almost out of time here, so I'll show you a couple more. This is just a fungo drill. Okay, so I'm fungoing balls, not really hard, but just working the guys, and their only cue is keep the ball off the screen. Okay, don't allow me to score a goal. Okay, and that ends up being a pretty fun drill for me because I get to smash fungos, and they love it because they get a chance to compete against each other a little bit. Okay, and then the last thing that we'll talk about here is we just put a GoPro on the ground when we throw bullpens. Okay, so even if you don't have a coach that's watching, then I could throw all my bullpens and I could go in the next day and take, a couple hours and watch through every pitch that's caught and tell our guys how they did, and also create what this ends up being is a highlight video of kind of how they did for the week and showing them some positive things that they can use as positive reinforcement. The last thing, which I'll blaze through, and I'll just throw this up here. If you guys want it, feel free to reach out to me via email or Twitter or whatever it may be, is a catcher bullpen scoring card. What you'll see is just as you go from the left to the right, positive moves back towards the middle of the zone are +2. Just catching a ball that's not a strike is 0, okay? So you don't get any credit for it, but you didn't drop it, so that's a win, okay? If you drop it, okay, but you don't catch it, that's -1. If you move it away from the zone, to me, that's worse than a drop because you're not challenging for a catch. So that's -2. And then also there's a lot of scoring for blocking, targeting, throwing and transfers. And there's a way to kind of keep track of percentages of what pitches catchers tend to struggle with on receiving and with blocking and things like that. And just creating some data that allows you guys to make educated decisions on what your catchers are doing rather than just assuming that, because they messed it up one time in a drill that they didn't quite have it right. So I'm out of time. Here's my contact info if you need it. Feel free to reach out to me. Thank you guys. I appreciate it and hope you guys took something good out of this.